We're not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.
There's no vindication for me because for 4 years I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
The cameras are always rolling, the music is always blasting, and the A-list stars, oh, they're always there, sipping from crystal glasses and dancing through rooms draped in luxury. But beneath the glitz and glamour of Scene Diddy Com's legendary parties lies a world that's as shadowy as it is extravagant, a world that's had tongues wagging for years. Have you ever wondered what really goes on behind those velvet ropes? What secrets, what power plays, are hidden beneath the surface of these star-studded soirees? Well, buckle up because the rumors are as wild as the guest lists, and the whispers about these gatherings are enough to make even the most hardened industry insiders raise an eyebrow.
As you guys are coming in that you can hear me and see me, I'm pretty sure that you can. This is some exclusive tea that I got a little while back.
Diddy's parties have been the stuff of legend for decades. From sprawling mansions in Miami to exclusive penthouses in Los Angeles, these events aren't just about music, dancing, or networking. They're spectacles of excess. Picture this, a room filled with celebrities so famous you'd think you are walking into the pages of a gossip magazine. Models glide through the crowd, their designer gowns brushing against the marble floors. The air is thick with the scent of luxury, perfumes that cost more than most people's rent, rare delicacies flown in from all corners of the world. But it's not just the grandeur that makes these parties infamous. No, what really sets them apart is the sense of mystery, the feeling that something far more intriguing and far darker is happening just out of sight.
Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do documentaries and TV.
It's said that Diddy's events are invitation-only affairs where the exclusivity is part of the allure. But this isn't your average Hollywood guest list, the attendees, some of the most powerful people in entertainment, business, and sports. And while many come for the glitz, there are rumors that others are drawn by something a little more complicated. Stories have swirled for years about what goes on when the cameras are off and the doors are closed. The wildest of these tales, that Diddy doesn't just host these parties, he controls them in ways that go far beyond being a good host. Take, for instance, the persistent rumors about Diddy's insistence on documenting everything. According to Lil Rod, a former associate of the music mogul, Diddy had a habit of filming nearly every moment of his gatherings. Phones were out, cameras were rolling, and nothing, absolutely nothing, was left undocumented. This wasn't just about capturing memories. It was about power. The footage, it said, became a kind of insurance, a way to keep people in line. He wanted everything recorded, Lil Rod once claimed, and not just the fun stuff, everything. Investigators reportedly seized an astonishing amount of data from Diddy's properties, over 90 terabytes stored across multiple devices. To put that into perspective, that's enough to store the equivalent of nearly 23 million photos or 45,000 hours of video. What could possibly require that much data? That's the question everyone's been asking.
No, I'm not surprised by the ruling because, as she cited in her order, there are very serious allegations about the danger that he potentially poses to other witnesses and the public at large. There are allegations that he has, been violent with others. He's also attempted to allegedly intimidate other witnesses and still contact witnesses while incarcerated.
But it's not just the recordings that have people talking. The parties themselves are said to have their own set of unspoken rules and some very peculiar traditions. One of the most controversial, what insiders have dubbed the test. This isn't a test you study for, and it's certainly not something you'll find on a party flyer. According to those who've been there, Diddy has a habit of separating the crowd as the night goes on. Only a select few are invited to stay for the after party, an even more exclusive gathering that's shrouded in secrecy. What happens there? Well, that's where the stories get really strange. Lil Rod described the scene as something out of a surreal movie. It was like being in a play, but you didn't know the script, he said. People were just watching. It felt like a performance, but you didn't know who was performing and who was being watched. And if you think that sounds strange, wait until you hear about the tunnels. Yes, tunnels. Rumors have long circulated about hidden passageways beneath Diddy's mansions, secret corridors that connect rooms and lead to who knows where. Some say they're used to sneak in high-profile guests without anyone noticing. Others claim they're part of something far more elaborate, something tied to the kind of power and secrecy that Diddy's parties are infamous for.
Not buying it at all, Kana. And safety can mean a couple of different things. Safety just doesn't mean free from harm of violence. Safety can also, too, means emotional and mental dynamics that could occur by Sean Combs reaching out to potential witness to get them to possibly change their testimony.
And it's not just the tunnels or the recordings that raise eyebrows. There's also the matter of the guest list. Sure, you've got the usual suspects, famous actors, chart-topping musicians, and sports legends. But then there are the surprise appearances, the names that make you wonder what exactly is going on. Will Smith and his son Jaden have been spotted at these parties, sparking endless speculation about their involvement. And while many see Jaden as an independent thinker who's carved out his own path, others question why he left Diddy's orbit so abruptly. Nobody ever really asked why Jaden left, one insider remarked, but maybe they should.
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the SHU have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on side watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an over...
And then there's Kevin Hart, the comedian who's known for his quick wit and infectious laugh. When asked about Diddy's parties, Kevin's response was anything but lighthearted. You're asking the wrong person the wrong question. He reportedly said, his tone as serious as it was cryptic. What could he mean? Why the hesitation? And perhaps most importantly, what does he know that he's not saying? The rumors get even murkier when you start digging into the dynamics of Diddy's inner circle. There's French Montana, the rapper who owes much of his success to Diddy's mentorship. At one point, they were inseparable. Diddy even created a special flavor of his signature beverage brand to honor French, something he'd never done for anyone else. But the relationship wasn't just about music or business. It was personal. Diddy reportedly lavished French with gifts, including a jaw-dropping sum of money during one particularly memorable exchange. But as quickly as their friendship seemed to blossom, it fizzled out. French, once a regular fixture at Diddy's side, suddenly disappeared from his orbit. And while he's never publicly spoken out against his former mentor, the silence speaks volumes.
I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on side watch.
But perhaps the most bizarre aspect of Diddy's alleged methods of control is his fixation on physical displays of dominance. Multiple sources have reported that Diddy has a strange habit of putting people in headlocks. Yes, headlocks. At his parties, what started as a joke quickly became something else entirely. It wasn't just playful, one attendee said. It was about humiliation. It was like he wanted to remind you who was in charge. And if the photos circulating online are any indication, this wasn't a one-time thing. Time and time again, images have surfaced of Diddy wrapping his arms around unsuspecting guests, grinning as if to say, I own this moment. And you, of course not everyone buys into the rumors. Some argue that the stories are exaggerated, the product of overactive imaginations in a culture that thrives on drama. But even the skeptics can't ignore the sheer volume of allegations, or the pattern they suggest. Over the years, a picture has emerged of a man who wields power, not just through his wealth and influence, but through his ability to control those around him. Whether it's through extravagant gifts, exclusive invitations, or the kind of psychological games that would make even the most seasoned therapist raise an eyebrow, Diddy's reputation as a master manipulator seems to grow with every news story.
Okay, some people do think that Diddy can help him, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshall's inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week.
And then there's the matter of the celebrities who've reportedly been caught up in his orbit. Usher, Justin Timberlake, LeBron James. These are names that don't just appear in headlines, they make them. And yet, their alleged connections to Diddy's parties have raised more questions than answers. Were they just guests, enjoying the perks of fame and fortune? Or were they part of something bigger, something that only those invited to the inner circle truly understand? One story that's gained traction involves Trey Songz, the R&B singer known for his smooth voice and even smoother persona. According to one particularly wild rumor, Trey was spotted in a moment of unexpected intimacy with Diddy at one of his parties. The story goes that a guest walked in on the two of them and was promptly invited to join. While it's impossible to verify, the tale has only added to the mystique and the controversy surrounding Diddy's events.
Both sides in the Sean Diddy Combs case have until today to give answers for how the music mogul has been communicating from jail. Combs appearing in court last Friday seeking bail while he awaits trial. He's been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn since September.
And then there's the question of what happens to those who fall out of favor with Diddy. Many have noted that careers seem to rise and fall with his approval. French Montana, once a rising star, has struggled to recapture the same level of success since distancing himself from the mogul. And he's not alone. Time and time again, artists who've benefited from Diddy's influence have faded into the background once they're no longer part of his inner circle. Is it coincidence? Or is it another example of the power he wields behind the scenes? As the night winds down and the last of the champagne flutes are emptied, one thing becomes clear. Diddy's parties are more than just celebrations. They're events that blur the line between fantasy and reality, where power dynamics play out in real time, and the stakes are higher than anyone on the outside could ever imagine. But the real question isn't what happens at these parties, it's why. Why does someone with so much power, so much influence, feel the need to control every aspect of his world? And more importantly, what happens to those who dare to step out of line? These are the questions that linger long after the music stops and the lights go out, questions that may never have easy answers. And as the rumors continue to swirl, one can't help but wonder, in a world where everyone has a price, who's really pulling the strings? And speaking of strings, what about the master puppeteer himself? What happens when the spotlight shifts from the parties to the man behind them? That's where Section 2 begins. But what happens when the man who seemed untouchable begins to lose his grip, when the carefully curated image of power, wealth, and influence starts to crack, revealing what's been lurking underneath all along? Seeing Diddy Combs, once the king of music, fashion, and entertainment, now finds himself at the center of an unraveling empire. And the truth is, the fall of someone like Diddy isn't just about one man. It's about the entire ecosystem of celebrity power, manipulation, and control that he helped build. How deep does it really go? And who might be next to face the consequences?
This is video of Diddy's family arriving to court for last Friday's hearing. Prosecutors arguing that he misused prison systems in an attempt to tamper with potential witnesses, and they say they have proof Diddy used other inmates' phone cards or used three-way calls with friends to contact associates that prosecutors consider to be a part of his criminal.
For years, Diddy's influence wasn't just limited to his music or his iconic record label Bad Boy Records. It extended far beyond that. He was the man who turned artists into superstars, the businessman who could transform struggling industries with a single investment, and the party host who everyone wanted to impress. But behind the scenes, his power came with a price. From the very beginning, Diddy's career was built on a foundation of control. He didn't just manage his artists, he owned them, in every sense of the word. Contracts were reportedly airtight, with artists locked into deals that favored Diddy far more than they ever benefited the talent. And while some, like the notorious B.I.G., soared under his guidance, others faded into obscurity, stuck in legal limbo, while Diddy moved on to his next big project. Take Danity Kane, for example, the girl group that Diddy put together on MTV's Making the Band. They were poised to be the next big thing, with hit songs and a massive fan base, but behind the scenes, things weren't as glamorous as they seemed. Dawn Richard, a former member of the group, recently came forward with allegations that Diddy not only controlled their careers, but also their personal lives. In her lawsuit filed in September 2024, she claimed that Diddy threatened her repeatedly, groped her, and even went so far as to tell her he could end people if she didn't fall in line.
The defense denying these claims and is pushing for his release under strict conditions, including a $50 million bond and 24/7 monitoring at a secured Manhattan apartment. There will be a hearing today where both sides will have a chance to clarify exactly how Combs has been connecting with the world outside his jail cell.
And Dawn isn't the only one speaking up. Over the past year, a flood of accusations has surfaced, painting a picture of a man who didn't just push boundaries, he demolished them. Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former partner, shocked the world in late 2023 when she filed a lawsuit detailing years of alleged mistreatment. While the case was settled almost immediately, the allegations sparked a wave of other lawsuits. One accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, described a horrifying incident that reportedly involved multiple people connected to Diddy's inner circle. Another lawsuit, filed by a former employee named Rodney Lil Rod Jones, accused Diddy of forcing him to be a part of his schemes, pressuring him to procure individuals for private events, and even carry contraband on Diddy's behalf. The stories just kept coming, each one more damning than the last.
I came here today just to tell the truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that.
But Diddy didn't just rely on fear and intimidation to maintain control. He also used his wealth and charisma to keep people loyal. Multiple sources have described how Diddy would shower his inner circle with extravagant gifts, from luxury watches to private trips. French Montana, once considered one of Diddy's closest allies, was reportedly given $1 million in cash as a token of their friendship. But as French began to distance himself, the perks disappeared, and so did the hits. It's a pattern that seems to repeat itself over and over. Artists, friends, and employees who thrive under Diddy's wing but struggle the moment they try to break free. And then there's the question of what really happened at those infamous parties. As more details emerge, it's becoming clear that these events weren't just about having a good time. They were about power. Attendees described feeling like they were being tested, with Diddy watching closely to see who would follow his rules and who might be willing to push boundaries. Those who passed the test might be invited to the even more exclusive after-parties, where the atmosphere reportedly shifted from glamorous to downright surreal. It was like stepping into another world, one source said. You didn't know what was real and what wasn't. And if you tried to leave, you'd get the look, the one that said, "You don't belong here."
Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff.
As one of the strangest aspects of these gatherings, the rumors about secret passageways and underground tunnels. While it might sound like something out of a Hollywood thriller, multiple people have claimed that Diddy's Miami mansion is connected to a network of hidden corridors. These tunnels, they say, were used to bring in high-profile guests without attracting attention, and to make sure that whatever happened inside the house stayed there. It was all about control, one insider explained. If you were in those tunnels, you were part of the inner circle, and if you weren't, you had no idea what was going on. The tunnels are just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Over the years, Diddy's parties have become synonymous with whispers of secret rituals and initiation ceremonies. Some claim that these events were designed to test loyalty, while others describe them as outright humiliation rituals meant to break people down and make them easier to manipulate. Whether or not these stories are true, they've become a part of the legend surrounding Diddy's empire, and they've raised serious questions about the lengths he was willing to go to maintain his power.
It's very significant just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now, I think it really underscores the magnitude of what he's facing and the weight of the federal government.
But Diddy isn't the only one facing scrutiny. As his legal troubles mount, so do the rumors about who else might be implicated. Jay-Z, once a close friend and collaborator, has found himself dragged into the conversation, with some questioning whether he knew about Diddy's alleged actions and whether he turned a blind eye. The two have a long history, from their early days competing for dominance in the music industry to their more recent ventures into business and philanthropy. But as Diddy's empire crumbles, many are wondering if Jay-Z's carefully constructed image of integrity and success might be hiding cracks of its own. And then there's Beyonce, who's been largely silent as her husband's name continues to pop up in connection with Diddy's scandals. Jaguar Wright, a former industry insider, has been particularly vocal about her concerns, claiming that Beyonce is trapped in a world of control and manipulation. She's not his wife, Jaguar said in a recent interview. She's his employee. It's all about business for them. While these claims remain unverified, they've sparked a heated debate among fans, with some rallying to Beyonce's defense and others questioning the true nature of her relationship with Jay-Z.
After they are done with Diddy, Jay-Z is up next to be exposed, right?
The fallout from Diddy's arrest has also extended to other high-profile figures. Will Smith, who has long been rumored to have attended Diddy's parties, is now facing renewed scrutiny. While there's no concrete evidence linking Smith to any wrongdoing, the rumors alone have been enough to tarnish his reputation. And then there's LeBron James, who was reportedly spotted at several of Diddy's events. While James has managed to keep his image relatively clean, the allegations surrounding Diddy have cast a shadow over everyone in his orbit. At the heart of all this is a question that goes far beyond Diddy himself. How much of Hollywood's glitz and glamour is built on a foundation of secrecy, manipulation, and control? As more people come forward with their stories, it's becoming clear that Diddy isn't the only one who's used his power to bend the rules, and that the entertainment industry as a whole has a long way to go before it can truly claim to be free of these toxic dynamics.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
But for now, all eyes are on Diddy. With his trial set to begin in May 2025, the world will be watching as one of the most powerful figures in music faces the consequences of his actions. And while it's impossible to predict what the outcome will be, one thing is certain. The revelations that have already come to light are just the beginning. As more people speak out and more evidence comes to light, the story of seeing Diddy, Combs, and the empire he built will only get more complicated. So, what do you think? Is Diddy just the tip of the iceberg? And if so, who might be next to face the consequences? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates as this story continues to unfold. This is far from over. Stay tuned.